Hello friends, welcome back to Learning Nails and Aesthetics. We are still in Chapter 5, Infection Control, Part 2, starting on page 127. This is a very long chapter, so I have divided it into several videos. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Many chemicals used in the salon, spa, or barbershop bear labels that require the use of personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses when working with their products. However, some equipment such as gloves offer protection from exposure to pathogens and should be worn whenever practical. Gloves. OSHA defines PPEs as specialized clothing or equipment worn by an employee for protection against a hazard. The hazards this particular standard refers to are blood-borne pathogens such as hepatitis and HIV. However, beauty professionals are required to prevent their occupational exposure to any amount of blood, no matter how minuscule. Though the use of gloves, use of gloves, masks, and eye protection, gloves are single-use equipment. A new set is used for every client, and at times must be changed during the service. According to the protocol, removal of gloves is performed by inverting the cuffs, pulling them off inside out, and disposing of them into the trash. The glove taken off first is held in the hand with the glove still on it. The glove with the cuff inverted is then pulled over the first glove inside out. The first glove is then inside the second one, which has the service side now on the inside against the other glove, and they are disposed of together. If a service requires moving from one place of service to another several times, or working on different body parts, such as when performing a manicure and a pedicure, several sets of gloves will need to be used. The technician is to perform hand washing after removing each set of gloves and before putting on a new set when two services are being performed together, or use antimicrobial gel cleanser between sets of gloves during the same appointment. Caution. When choosing what type of disposable glove to use, you should avoid latex due to increasingly common allergies to the material. You should also exercise caution when using petroleum-based products, as petroleum-based gloves degrade on contact and cannot maintain a safe barrier. Nitrile gloves are a strong alternative to both instances. An exposure incident. Contact with blood or body fluid. You should never perform a service on any client who comes in with an open wound, a rash, or an abrasion. However, sometimes accidents happen while a service is being performed. An exposure incident is contact with non-intact broken skin, blood, body fluid, or other potentially infectious materials that is the result of the performance of a worker's duties. Should the client suffer a cut or abrasion that bleeds during a service, follow the steps outlined in Procedure 5.3 for this client's safety as well as your own. As a beauty professional, you will likely work with an array of sharp implements and tools, and cutting yourself is a very real possibility. If you do suffer a cut and blood is present, you must follow the steps for an exposure incident outlined in Procedure 5.4. Many of the steps are similar to a client's injury, although attending to yourself should hopefully require fewer soft skills. Check-in. What are standard precautions? Demonstrate safe work practices and safety precautions. Most potentially harmful situations in the salon, spa, and barbershop can be avoided by being observant and using common sense. Learn to recognize safety hazards to minimize the occurrence of accidents. Water. At the shampoo bowl, be careful how you handle the spray hose. Position the client's head for comfort and access, being conscious of your own body position as well. Do not bend or twist from the waist unnecessarily. Wipe up any water spills or leaks immediately. If the water temperature reaches a scalding level while in the hot position, turn the thermostat on the hot water tank down to a more acceptable temperature for application to the skin, scalp, and hair. Water heaters should not be set at higher than 130 degrees Fahrenheit. As a precaution, always test water temperature on the inside of your wrist before applying to the client's hair or scalp. The same procedure may be used to test steam towels or facials and shaves. Tools and appliances. Tools and equipment should be strategically placed so that the items are safely stored when not in use, yet are accessible when needed. Smaller tools may be placed in countertops receptacles designed for that purpose. Larger equipment may be mounted under the cabinet attached to the wall or set on a shelf. Disinfecting jars should be set back toward a wall or partition so as not to interfere with other tools. This also limits the risk of accidental spillage or of disinfectant solution. If a tool or implement is dropped on the floor during a service, it must be replaced with a disinfected tool, or you must stop the service and properly disinfect the tool that was dropped prior to continuing the service. This is a good reason to keep an extra set of tools that are ready to use handy. All tools and implements should be in good working condition. Replace damaged tools immediately, including worn electrical cords, chipped clipper blades, cracked housing, and broken shears. Do not try to repair tools yourself. Send them to the manufacturer for service. Never subject yourself or your client to the risk of faulty or broken equipment. Electrical cords can often threaten to become a safety hazard in a busy shop. Cords to clippers, trimmers, curling irons, and blow dryers tend to become twisted and tangled during use. If the cord is too long, it can get caught on the foot or armrest of a chair or table, or even on the foot of a client. Some beauty professionals use cordless tools, such as trimmers, to eliminate the problem altogether. A well-planned workstation with sufficient and conveniently placed outlets can also help minimize tangled cord syndrome. Never place any tool or implement in your mouth or pocket. Equipment and fixtures. Keep all chairs, headrests, tables, heat lamps, and lighting fixtures in good working order. Tighten screws and bolts. Grease or oil hinges and service equipment mechanisms as needed. Dust and clean regularly to avoid dust buildup and to maintain clean conditions. Maintain lighting fixtures. Change bulbs when necessary to keep workstations well lit. Ventilation. Proper ventilation and air circulation are extremely important in today's salons, spas, and barbershops. Particles from products such as hairsprays and disinfectants can be inhaled and may cause allergic reactions or other health problems. Heating and air conditioning vents should be located to perform their optimum functions without interfering with client services. Vents should be vacuumed or cleaned periodically to prevent any buildup of hair that might impede ventilation. Fumes from chemical applications and nail care products require sophisticated filtration units that cleanse and detoxify the air. Once installed, air filters should be changed or cleaned regularly. Exits. Exits should be well marked and identifiable. Check with your local building inspection office for codes and requirements. Employees should know where exits are located and how to evacuate the building quickly in case of fire or other emergencies. Implement fire drills to practice for this contingency. Fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers should be placed where they are readily accessible. All employees should be instructed in fire extinguisher use. It is a law that fire extinguishers be checked periodically. Be guided by the manufacturer's recommendations and state and local ordinances. Attire. Clothing should be comfortable and professional in appearance. Excessively baggy clothes can get in the way of your performance just as easily as tight clothing can restrict it. Long hair worn in a loose style may easily get caught in motor vents and other appliances. Keep hair pulled back or short enough to avoid entanglements. Necklaces should be of appropriate length so as not to get caught on equipment or dangle in a client's face during a service. Rings should not be worn on the index and middle fingers, as they might interfere with procedure accuracy. In general, rings with stones and elaborate settings are very hard to keep clean. Watches should be waterproof and shock absorbent. Shoes should be non-skid rubber soles with good support. Electronic devices that may distract you, such as cell phones or tablets, should be kept stored away and checked or answered only between clients. Children. Children can cause serious risk of injury to themselves in the salon. Did I say energy? Let me start over. Children can cause serious risk of injury to themselves. I don't know what I said. In the salon, a spa, or barbershop environment, being aware of their inquisitive nature and the speed at which they can move can help prevent accidents from happening. Post notices in the reception area advising patrons that children are not to be left unattended. Do not allow children to play, climb, or spin on hydraulic chairs. Do not allow children to wander freely with access to workstations, storage areas, and so forth. When performing a service on a child, try to anticipate the child's sudden moves. Never trust a young child to hold the head or body still while you are wielding tools. Instead, hold the child gently but firmly with one hand while working with the other. Adult clients. As beauty professionals, many of the things we do to assure client comfort also fall under the category of safety precautions. As you work thoroughly your practical skills, you will learn proper protection procedures and chemical application methods to ensure client safety and comfort from the standpoint of avoiding skin irritations, burns, wet or soiled clothing, and so forth. However, there are also several common sense services that should be performed using good manners, and performing common courtesies will help you gain the reputation of being a safety conscious and courteous professional. Assist clients, especially the elderly, in and out of chairs and onto and off treatment tables. Turn hydraulic chairs so the client may get and off. What? Assist clients, especially the elderly, in and out of chairs and onto and off treatment tables. Turn hydraulic chairs so the client may get out of the chair without a risk of feet becoming tangled in any of the cords. Always lower a hydraulic chair to its lowest level and lock it in position so that it does not spin before inviting the client to be seated or leave the chair. Hold doors open for clients. Assist clients in walking whenever necessary. Always support the back of the chair and thus the client when reclining or raising the chair back. Support the client's head whenever appropriate at the shampoo bowl or during other neck straining procedures. High-risk clients. While some customers who know that they have impaired immune systems will share that information with you, many will not because they are embarrassed, do not know it is important, or do not know that they have a compromised immune system. These people are at very high risk of infection should they encounter any pathogens, because you will not always know who these people are. It is important to practice proper infection control with every customer. Diabetic customers have immune systems that do not work effectively and have impaired healing. A simple nick from a tool that was not properly disinfected may have devastating effects. While many people will tell you they have diabetes, if they do, some type 2 diabetics can be diabetic for years prior to being diagnosed, which means that even if you ask, they may say no because they have not yet been diagnosed. Lumpectomy, mastectomy patients have had several treatments for breast cancer. A part of that surgery involves removing the lymph nodes in the armpit. With those nodes removed, any infections processed in the arm could lead to a permanent condition called lymphedema. It is extremely important to these clients that properly disinfected implements be used, particularly in a nail service, to reduce the risk of this very uncomfortable condition. Clients on medication for conditions such as asthma, rheumatoid arthritis, and fibromyalgia are likely to have suppressed immune systems, making them particularly susceptible to infection. Clients who are pregnant may be particularly sensitive to harsh smells. Their skin may also have unusual reactions to chemicals. Each client must decide for themselves what is safe for the baby during pregnancy. However, allowing a client to read labels of products prior to using them may help them to decide. Your professional responsibilities. After studying this chapter, it should be clear that your responsibilities as a beauty professional far exceed the ability to perform a good service. Your most important responsibility is to protect your client's health and safety. Never take shortcuts for cleaning and disinfecting. You cannot afford to skip steps in order to save time or money when it comes to safety. It is your professional and legal responsibility to follow state and federal laws and rules. Keep your license current and notify the licensing agency if you move or change your name. Check your state's website monthly for any change or update to the rules and regulations. Be aware of your environment so that you can identify and eliminate potential hazards to make your salon, spa, or barber shop safer for you and your clients. Be prepared for emergencies. Every salon, spa, and barber shop should have employee and clientele emergency information available. An emergency phone number checklist should include the contact numbers for fire, police, poison control, and medical rescue departments, the nearest hospital emergency room, and taxis. Utility service companies such as electricity, water, heat, and air conditioning, and landlord or custodial numbers are also helpful in an emergency or if something breaks down in the shop. Update this information on an annual basis and you will always be prepared. Realize that behavior that stems from a knowledgeable and caring manner is what separates a true professional from a non-professional. Being a professional is something you can take pride in. Check in. Why is it of the utmost importance to practice strict infection control protocols with every client? Apply infection control. Congratulations on completing this chapter. Before you move on, take a moment to think about how these infectious control topics apply to your particular discipline. Discuss with a classmate or study group how you will fit infection control into your daily routine on the job, what special infection control measures you will need to take for specific procedures, what some special needs of your target audience may be, and so on. Procedures 5.1 Proper hand washing. Hand washing is one of the most important procedures in infection control efforts and is required in most states before beginning any service and after eating, smoking, or using the restroom. Materials, implements, and equipment. Disposable paper towels, liquid soap in a pump container, and nail brush. Turn the water on and wet your hands. Pump soap from a pump container into the palm of your hand. Rub your hands together all over and vigorously until a lather forms. Continue for a minimum of 20 seconds. Scrub your nails with a nail brush if product or debris is visible under your nails or if you are washing your hands following an exposure incident. Choose a clean and disinfected nail brush. Wet the nail brush and pump soap into the bristles. Brush your nails horizontally back and forth under the free edge. Change the direction of the brush to vertical and move the brush up and down along the nail folds of the fingernails. The process for brushing both hands should take about 60 seconds to complete. Rinse the nail brush and deposit it in a labeled container for dirty implements. Rinse hands in warm running water. Use a clean cloth or paper towel to dry your hands, according to the salon, spa, or barbershop policies or state rules and regulations. After drying your hands, turn off the water with the towel. Use the towel to open the door and then dispose of the towel. Touching a doorknob with your bare fingers can recontaminate your hands. I would like to add that when you're pumping the soap onto the nail brush, do not touch the nail brush to the pump. I've seen several people do this over the years when I've been in salons for various services. And I just don't understand why they would think that would be okay. Just don't do it. Procedure 5.2, cleaning and disinfecting non-porous reusable items. Non-porous reusable items include non-electrical tools and implements that can be completely submerged, such as combs, brushes, shears, clips, hairpins, tweezers, and nippers, as well as larger equipment that cannot be submerged all the way into up to non-porous work surfaces. Materials, implements and equipment. Covered storage container, disinfectant solution, spray or wipes, disposable gloves, disposable towels, liquid soap and cleaning solution, safety glasses, scrub brush, timer, tongs. It is important to wear safety glasses and gloves while cleaning and disinfecting to protect your eyes from unintentional splashes of disinfectant, to prevent possible contaminants of the implements by your hands, and to protect your hands from the powerful chemicals in the disinfectant solution. Rinse items with warm running water. Use a small scrubbing brush to wash items with soap or cleaning solution. Brush grooved items thoroughly and open hinged implements to scrub the revealed areas clean. Rinse away all traces of soap or solution when cleaning running water. Soap is most easily rinsed off in warm, not hot water. Dry items with a clean or disposable towel. Disinfect items as appropriate or required by your state. Immersion is used for items that can be safely and effectively immersed in disinfectant. Completely immerse cleaned items in an appropriate disinfection container holding an EPA-registered disinfectant approved for use in your state for the required time listed in the manufacturer's instructions. Remember to open hinged implements before immersing them in the disinfectant. If the disinfectant solution is visibly dirty, or if the solution has been contaminated, it must be replaced. After the required contact time has passed, remove items from the disinfectant solution with tongs or gloved hands. Rinse in warm running water and dry thoroughly with a disposable towel or allow to air dry on a clean towel. Do not store implements with any moisture on them, particularly in the hinges. Sprays are used for larger tools and implements that cannot or should not be immersed. Place cleaned items on a disinfected surface or clean towel and spray with disinfectant until thoroughly saturated. Ensure that all surfaces of items stay visibly moist for the full contact time listed on the label. After the required contact time has passed, pick up items with tongs or gloved hands, rinse in warm running water, and pat dry. Wipes are used for surfaces and other non-submergible items. Steps 2 through 6 above are not required when using one wipe to clean and a second wipe to disinfect. Use an EPA-registered wipe to wipe surfaces or items and ensure that all surfaces remain visibly moist for the contact time listed on the label. Store items as disinfected. Just kidding. Store items as directed by your state rules. Most states require that dry disinfectant items be stored in a clean covered container labeled disinfected or ready to use until needed. Remove gloves and thoroughly wash your hands with warm running water and liquid soap. Rinse and dry hands with a clean fabric or disposable towel. Procedure 5 through 3. Handling an exposure incident, client injury. Should you accidentally cut a client during a service, calmly take the following steps. Materials, implements, and equipment. Antiseptic, bandages, disposable gloves, disposable paper towels, liquid soap, plastic bag, disinfectant solution, spray or wipe, sharps box, optional. Stop the service immediately. Put on gloves if you are not already wearing gloves for the procedure. Face your client and calmly apologize for the incident. If appropriate, assist your client to the sink, Wash the injured area with soap and rinse under running water. Pat the injured area dry using a new clean paper towel. Offer your client antiseptic and an adhesive bandage. Discard all single-use contaminated objects such as wipes or cotton balls in a plastic bag and then place in the trash bag. Deposit sharp disposables in the sharps box. Dispose of double-bagged items and sharps containers as required by state or local law. In general, all these items except sharps may go into the regular trash. Remove all implements from the workstation and then clean and disinfect workstation surfaces. Discard gloves and thoroughly wash hands with warm running water and liquid soap. Rinse and dry hands with a clean fabric or disposable towel and then put on fresh gloves. Properly clean and disinfect implements. Discard gloves and thoroughly wash your hands with warm running water and liquid soap. Rinse and dry hands with a clean fabric or disposable towels and return to the service. Recommend that the client see a physician if any signs of redness, swelling, pain, or irritation develop. Ask if the client would like to continue the service and return to where you left off if they are willing. If you are working on the client's hands and they have refused a bandage, put on gloves before finishing the service. Procedure 5.4. Handling an exposure incident. Employee injury. Should you accidentally cut yourself during a service, calmly take the following steps. Materials, implements, and equipment. Antiseptic, bandages, cotton, disposable gloves, disposable paper towels, liquid soap, plastic bag, disinfectant solution, spray, or wipes, sharps box, optional. Stop the service immediately. Inform your client of what has happened and let them know you are taking care of your cut and that the service will be interrupted for a few minutes. If the nature of your cut is severe, ask an employee to assist with the exposure incident. If appropriate, wash and rinse the injured area under running water. Pat the injured area dry using a new clean paper towel. Apply antiseptic and an adhesive bandage to the wound. Put on gloves. Discard all single-use contaminated objects such as wipes or cotton balls in a plastic bag and then place in a trash bag. Deposit sharp disposables into a sharps box. Dispose of double-bagged items and sharps containers as required by state or local law. In general, all of these items, except sharps, may go into the regular trash. Remove all implements from the workstation and then clean and disinfect workstation surfaces. Discard gloves and thoroughly wash hands with warm running water and liquid soap. Rinse and dry hands with the clean fabric or disposable towel and then put on fresh gloves. Properly clean and disinfect implements. Discard gloves and thoroughly wash your hands with warm running water and liquid soap. Rinse and dry hands with a clean fabric or disposable towel. Return to where you had left the service. How many pages do we? Okay, we'll just finish Chapter 5, Competency Progress. Are you going? That's great. How are you doing with infection control? Check off Chapter 5 learning objectives below that you feel you have mastered. Leave unchecked those objectives you will need to return to. Explain infection control. Describe federal and state regulatory agencies. Recognize the principles of infection. Identify different types of pathogens. Employ the principles of prevention. Follow standard precautions to protect yourself and your clients. Demonstrate safe work practices and safety precautions. Glossary. Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome, abbreviated AIDS, a disease that breaks down the body's immune system. AIDS is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Antiseptics, chemical germicides formulated for use on skin, registered and regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. Asymptomatic, showing no symptoms or signs of infection. Bacteria, single-celled microorganisms that have both plant and animal characteristics. Some bacteria are harmful, some are harmless. Bacterial spores, bacteria capable of producing a protective coating that allows them to withstand very harsh environments and to shed the coating with conditions become more favorable to them. Bactericidal, capable of destroying bacteria. Biofilms, colonies of microorganisms that adhere to environmental surfaces, as well as the human body. Blood-borne pathogens, disease-causing microorganisms carried by the body by blood or body fluids, such as hepatitis and HIV. Chelating soaps, break down stubborn films and remove the residue of products such as scrubs, salts, and masks, also known as chelating detergents. That is an odd word to me. I don't know why. Cleaning, mechanical process using soap and water or detergent and water to remove all visible dirt, debris, and many disease-causing germs. Cleaning also removes invisible debris that interferes with disinfection. Cleaning is what beauty professionals are required to do before disinfecting. Communicable, able to be communicated. Transferable by contact from one person to another, as in a communicable disease. Contagious disease, also known as communicable disease. Disease that is capable of being spread from one person to another. Contamination, the presence or the reasonably anticipated presence of blood or other potentially infectious materials on an item's surface or visible debris or residue such as dust, hair, and skin. Diagnosis, determination of the nature of a disease from its symptoms and or diagnostic tests. Federal regulations prohibit salon professionals from performing a diagnosis. Direct transmission, transmission of pathogens through touching, including shaking hands, kissing, coughing, sneezing, and talking. Disease, an abnormal condition of all or part of the body or its systems or organs that makes the body incapable of carrying on normal function. Disinfectants, chemical products approved by the EPA designed to destroy most bacteria, excluding spores, fungi, and viruses on surfaces. Disinfection, a chemical process that uses special products to destroy harmful organisms, except bacterial spores, on environmental surfaces. Efficacy, the ability of a product to produce the intended effect. On a disinfectant label, it indicates specific pathogens destroyed or disabled when used properly. Exposure incident, contact with non-intact broken skin, blood, body fluid, or other potentially infectious materials, which is the result of the performance of an employee's duties. Fungi or fungi. I like fungi. Anyway, single-celled organisms that grow in irregular masses and include molds, mildews, and yeast. They can produce contagious diseases such as ringworm. Fungicidal or fungicidal, capable of destroying molds and fungi. Hepatitis, a blood-borne virus that causes disease and can damage the liver. Herpes simplex virus, an inflammatory disease of the skin caused by a viral infection and characterized by small vesicles or clusters. Human immune deficiency virus, abbreviated HIV, virus that causes HIV disease and acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. Human papillomavirus, abbreviated HPV, virus that can infect the bottom of the foot and resembles small black dots, usually clustered groups. Also, continuous viral infection commonly contracted through sexual transmission and exhibited by genital warts. Indirect transmission. Transmission of blood or body fluids through contact with an intermediate contaminated object such as a razor, extractor, nipper, or an environmental surface. Infection. The invasion of body tissues by disease-causing pathogens. Infection control. The methods used to eliminate or reduce the transmission of infectious organisms from one individual to another. Infectious. Caused by or capable of being transmitted by infection. Infectious disease. Disease caused by pathogenic, harmful microorganisms that enter the body. An infectious disease may or may not be spread from one person to another person. Inflammation. A condition in which the body reacts to injury, irritation, or infection, characterized by redness, heat, pain, and swelling. Local infection. An infection such as a pimple or abscess that is confined to a particular part of the body and appears as a lesion containing pus. Methicillin resistance. MRSA. That's why they call it MRSA. A type of infectious bacteria that is highly resistant to conventional treatment such as antibiotics. Microorganism. Any organism of microscopic or submicroscopic size. Mildew. A type of fungus that affects plants or grows on inanimate objects but does not cause human infection in the barbershop. Multi-use, also known as reusable, items that can be cleaned, disinfected, and used on more than one person, even if the item is accidentally exposed to blood or body fluid. Mycobacterium, a large family of bacteria that is often found in soil and water. Non-pathogenic, harmless organisms that may perform useful functions and are safe to come in contact with since they do not cause disease or harm. Non-porous, an item that is made of a material that has no pores or openings and cannot absorb liquid. Occupational disease, illness resulting from conditions associated with employment, such as prolonged and repeated overexposure to certain products or ingredients. Parasites, an organism that grows, feeds, and shelters on or inside another organism, referred to as the host, while contributing nothing to the survival of that organism. Parasites must have a host to survive. Parasitic disease, disease caused by parasites such as lice and mites. Pathogenic, harmful microorganisms that can cause disease or infection in humans when they invade the body. Pathogenic disease, disease produced by organisms including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Pediculosis capitis, infestation of the hair and scalp with head lice. Phenolic disinfectants, tuberculosis that are a form of formaldehyde, have a very high pH and can damage the skin and eyes. I apologize. I'll work on that pronunciation of these. Porous, made or constructed of a material that has pores or openings. Porous items are absorbent. Pus, a fluid created by infection. Quaternary compounds, commonly known as quats, are products made of quaternary ammonium cautions and are designed for disinfectant of non-porous surfaces. They are appropriate for use in non-critical, non-invasive environments and are effective against most pathogens of concern in the salon, spa, or barbershop environment. Ringworm, a fungal infection of the skin that appears in circular lesions. Sanitation, also known as sanitizing, a chemical process for reducing the number of disease-causing germs on clean surfaces to a safe level. Scabies, a contagious skin disease that is caused by itch mite, which burrows under the skin. Sodium hypochlorite, common household bleach, an effective disinfectant for the salon, spa, and barbershop. Standard precautions are guidelines published by the CDC that require the employer and employee to assume that any human blood and body fluids are potentially infectious. Staphylococci, pus-forming bacteria that grows in clusters like a bunch of grapes, causes abscesses, pustules, and boils. Sterilization, the process that commonly destroys all microbial life, including spores. Systemic infection, an infection where the pathogen has distributed throughout the body rather than staying in one area or organ. Tinea barbae, also known as barber's itch, a superficial fungal infection that commonly infects the skin. It is primarily limited to the bearded area of the face and neck or around the scalp. Tinea capitis, a fungal infection of the scalp characterized by red papules or spots at the opening of the hair follicles. Tuberculocidal disinfectants, often referred to as phenolics, are proven to kill the bacterium that causes tuberculosis, in addition to other pathogens destroyed through the use of hospital disinfectants. Tuberculosis, a disease caused by bacteria that are transmitted through coughing or sneezing. Virucidal, compatible with destroying viruses. Virus, a parasitic microscopic particle that infects and resides in cells of biological organisms. A virus is capable of replication only through taking over the host cell's reproductive function. That was a lot. In the next video, we will start Chapter 6, Chemistry and Chemical Safety. We'll see how long this chapter is and decide how many videos it will be. It does seem to be fairly long. It is too long for one video. So please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate you watching this video. Have a great day and see you again in the next one.